Hello everyone, we are team number 35 from the University of Economics and Law. My name is Uyên and this is Jung and Thịnh.
In this video, we are going to tell you about our opinion on opening the tourist vehicle market by cutting down the import tariff,
its benefits, drawbacks, and a solution for those trade-offs.
Without further ado, let's begin.
First things first, we'll give you the definition of a tourist vehicle. A tourist vehicle is a mobile vehicle that transports 4 to 9 passengers. Now we will tell you a story about how we chose the topic. It was a beautiful day and we were going to have a meeting over which one to pick from the seat available options. Jung and I has been there, but things hadn't solved yet. While I was talking to Jung, Thịnh suddenly arrived. He was on his motorbike. After reading each order, I asked him why he had arrived late. He said that he had gotten stuck in a traffic jam back in Thủ Đức intersection. Jung then asked him why he had to wear such a heavy helmet. He even compared him with a ninja. Thịnh answered that he had to wear the helmet because of the exhausted gas from the vehicles on the streets. I then asked Thịnh why he hadn't chosen to catch a bus instead. And he answered, "The bus often comes late and I didn't want to make you guys waiting for too long." Thịnh then said, "Man, someday I will buy a car, then all my problems will be solved." Jung replies, "What makes you think that you can get enough money to afford a car? Within every salary, you will have to save your money every month until you become an old man." After that, we all became silent. And after thinking for a while, we figured out what topic we should choose to make a video about.
So in the story, I mentioned that Thịnh would have to save money for a long time until he could afford a car. And why is that? Now I'm going to tell you about the reality, the current situation of the tourist vehicle market. So this is our country, Vietnam. Its GDP per capita has been increasing for the last decade, from $607 in 2004 to $2,052 in 2014. This is quite humble compared with some fellow ASEAN countries such as Thailand or Malaysia. Thailand's GDP per capita in 2014 is $5,561, while Malaysia's is $10,830. Meanwhile, car price in Vietnam is way more expensive than that in those countries. This is a list of 5 best-selling cars in Vietnam in 2014, as well as the prices in the countries mentioned above. Toyota Vios price in Malaysia $18,322 per unit. Price in Thailand $15,815 per unit. Price in Vietnam $24,808 per unit. Toyota Fortuner. This one is a little different. The price per unit in Malaysia is almost equal to that of Vietnam, while Thailand's is still cheaper. But looking at the rest of them, we can see an obvious trend is happening. Car price in Vietnam is too high compared with other countries in the area. So the question is, what makes it so high? It was because of the policy of Vietnam. When making policies, the government must consider the advantages and consequences that a policy may cause to its country. In this case, it wants to stabilize the trade balance of Vietnam, protect the domestic automobile industry, and avoid overloading of the infrastructure. So it has to make the price high so only few people can actually afford a foreign car. It does this through tariff and non-tariff barrier. But then people complain, so it promises to lower the tariff. However, the car price is still high because the government increases the fees caused by non-tariff barriers. In the end, nothing has changed. This policy of keeping a high tourist vehicle price in Vietnam affects our lives in many ways. Firstly, the domestic industry is too weak. The technology gap and lack of capital make it impossible for us to compete with foreign firms. Secondly, as I said earlier, it took a long time for you to be able to buy a car. Thirdly, cars in Vietnam are mostly made by Japanese, Korean, European, and American firms, while Japanese and Korean cars are more affordable than European and American ones. They are not as tough as the Western competitors. There was even an accident in which a Toyota Innova was crushed by a truck. 3 Koreans were killed in that accident. Also, motorbikes produce more exhaust gas than cars, and because this type of vehicle is the most widely used, it negatively affects the environment as well as the health of our people.
While bringing many benefits, the change would also have many drawbacks to Vietnam's economy. It not only affects some local industry, but also affects the trade balance, infrastructure, labor, and service that government have always been concerned about. When this policy becomes effective, the automobile industry of Vietnam can be considered dead for good. For the last couple of decades under protection, it has failed to introduce any commercial products of its own. Local firms cannot even manufacture a simple auto part because of the technology gap, thus having to import them. Meanwhile, foreign automobile producers can make high-quality tourist vehicles with a comparatively cheap price. There is just no way for the local automobile industry to compete with the foreign such as America, Germany, Japan, and Korea. Besides, a lot of people buying cars will cause instability to the trade balance because the price of a tourist vehicle is rather high compared to Vietnam's GDP per capita. While negative effects do exist, instead of concentrating on those consequences, we should look at the positive ones and try to squeeze some of them for profit. There is one simple logic: don't just think about how much money we lose to foreign companies due to the policies. Think more about how life will change and how we can make the most money for this significant change. Existing automobile firms in Vietnam should also shift their main focus from cars manufacture to simple auto parts manufacture. Or can follow Shanghai Autobahn, cooperating with a foreign manufacturer and provide repairing service to car users. Changes should be made through several stages, so local firms can keep up with them, avoiding a potential policy shock, especially when imposing tolls to make up for the cost to develop Vietnam's infrastructure. A high toll will discourage people from buying cars. Instead, we should impose a low toll but for a long period. While we can make more money to make up for the gap in the trade balance because of the policies, more people having access to cars also means the living standard of Vietnam will be better, at least in one.
As you can see, it is inevitable to open the tourist vehicle market in Vietnam.
It gives us an easier access to a better type of vehicle as well as business opportunities.
So if you agree with us, please like the video and share it with your friends.
Thank you and